when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They're deceived with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Sports Report After Dark. I am your host, Seven. Dan is sitting in the background. He'll be back with us he will be in with us in just a moment. I do want to start, as always, by giving a special thank you to our friends over at Gunslinger Soap. Gunslinger Soap is handmade soaps and beard products made without all of the junk to pamper your skin. You can go to their website right now, gunslingersoap.com, and sign up to get 15% off of your first order and always free shipping over $30. That's gunslingersoap.com. Definitely check them out. Also, a special thank you to our friends over at West Coast Radio. You can catch the rebroadcast of Sports Report After Dark every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on westcoastradio.info or by enabling the West Coast Radio skill on your Alexa speaker. We are not a family-friendly show. This is a late-night show for a reason. We swear, we make inappropriate jokes. We say stuff that offends people sometimes. We're just being assholes. That's just what this is. So We definitely love people listening in, but of course, we want to be cordial enough to say this is not something for the kids. But I'm going to bring in my co-host now. That guy who looks like he could be a serial killer in Vail, Colorado.
I'm going for the retired Aaron Rodgers. I see Gunslinger got the ad, and you're slinging the guns tonight. So that's,
you know what? I'm just letting everybody know. It's the gun show.
It's the gun show. It is over there. I don't even, man. I think I should turn my camera up a little bit. There we go. I'm embarrassed. I feel like I'm getting shown up.
No. So do you think that Aaron Rodgers give a fucks retired 3 years before he does, just like Drew Brees' arm retired 3 years before Drew did?
Do you think Drew? I mean, he was all right towards the end.
Yeah, unless he just didn't have the deep ball. Like, he was great at checkdowns, 5-10 yard passes. He was fine, but
he never really had the deep ball. Let's be honest. He never really had the deep ball. So he was all about accuracy his whole career. Good for him. He should have aged well. He played like a 41-year-old quarterback when he was 25. So why not just keep it up? Just stay the same. It's one of those consistent things.
I thought it was interesting. Have you seen those interviews where they were talking about how Sean Payton has talked about the fact that he wanted to grab Mahomes?
Yeah. Well, in hindsight, always 2020. I'm sure 16 that he got picked, 9th overall? Yeah. So I'm sure 10th. All 10th. So all 9.
Yeah. Kansas City traded up to 10. And then the Saints wanted him at 11.
He is possibly would be the overall number 1 pick out of anybody that's ever played in the NFL. That's possible. So yeah, he should have been definitely a number 1 pick in his own year.
And I think that one of the things that I think is interesting is because you think about that was the 2017 draft, if I recall, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, we joke about Aaron Rodgers' arm retiring a few years before he did. If Patrick Mahomes gets picked by the Saints in 2017 and spends that year under Drew Brees and Sean Payton's tutelage,
and then you plug him into that system, it's just as good. It's just as good.
I don't know that it's just as good though, because
no Tyreek Hill.
Well, first of all, yes, no Tyreek Hill, and then the other thing is how much of a patience does Peyton have for the running around and how much he breaks containment and all of that? Like, how much do you think those things that make Patrick great as far as what he does when he's flushed out, how much of that do you think gets coached out before he ever steps on a professional field?
None of it. None of it
really
does, because so? No. Do you think Andy Reid didn't try and change some of that stuff? Andy Reid, before Patrick played in a fucking game, before he actually played in a game, they were trying to get that shit out of him. They were like, no, that's not going to work, man. It's not going to work. And then he got on the field and they were like, oh shit, okay, maybe it does work. He's like good enough at it that it does work. So hopefully you would hope, Drew, you'd hope fucking Sean Payton was smart enough to be like, oh yeah, just let him be himself. You would think.
But if you look at like that, I was watching some video of Zach Wilson of the Jets recently. And, we all love Zach for banging Stifler's mom, that's fucking legend.
Right.
But if you watch him move, he is basically in the way that he's doing things, a half step behind Mahomes.
Yes.
The mobility is there. It's the accuracy that isn't. And it's that accuracy piece that is what makes Mahomes what he is. And that lack of accuracy for most quarterbacks is why they coach it out, because it's a risk versus reward thing.
If you're not good enough at it, right? Because Patrick Mahomes has been the only guy in history that does that kind of shit and is good enough at it that it actually works. And not only works, it's fucking, if it works, it works really well, obviously, because that's what guys are going for.
he gets away with some of the craziest shit. And like you'll be watching content from former, current and former quarterbacks, and that's that they talk about how he just consistently does things that you shouldn't do as a quarterback, but they work.
He's good enough that he gets away with it. He's got a fucking cannon arm, which makes up for a lot of that shit. The arm makes up for a lot of it. So does Zach Wilson, though. But how many of those guys have we seen, though? The Zach Wilson type guy. I mean, we don't know what Zach Wilson's going to be, and maybe if he steps up and becomes like as good as Mahomes at it, I doubt that's going to happen. Like, because that's obviously a once in a lifetime kind of thing. But think about how many other guys, though. Like, think about Drew Lock, does the same shit, not good enough at it. Fucking Jay Cutler, almost the exact same quarterback as Patrick Mahomes, stands like him, same kind of build and everything, tried to do the same shit and actually got pretty close for a while, but still too inconsistent with it. Couldn't do it all the time.
I feel like Jay Cutler's height was a disadvantage in that situation because he was like Patrick is just the right height where he does blend in more with the pile, if you will.
They're the same height.
Cutler. Are you serious? Because Cutler looks taller. Are you sure?
Jay Cutler's listed at 6'3", I think. I mean, Mahomes is a legitimate 6'1", 6'2". They're about the same height.
Are you? Hold on. I could have sworn he was like 6'5".
Cutler's listed at 6'2" or 6'3", like 220, 230. Guaranteed.
Hold on. This is gonna... I guess, okay, 6'3". You're right.
It says he's 5'9" on this, though. Jay Cutler's height says 5'9". That is not true at all. I don't know why that's...
There's no way he's 5'9".
There's
Football Reference has him at 6'3".
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what the fuck?
And Mahomes is 6'3", so they're actually the same height. Holy shit. Okay.
Hey, so this is talking about Jay Cutler, the bodybuilder. Not even kidding.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he's 5'9",
that's funny.
Legitimately. Yeah. Jay Cutler's not even the first Jay Cutler that comes up. That's how good of a quarterback he was. He's not even the first. He's not even the first athlete that comes up when you Google his name.
Poor Jay Cutler. He was
Let's not.
He's Gardner Minshew of the 2000 to 2010 decade of football.
Bro, Jay Cutler's one of my heroes. He's one of my heroes. Straight up, dude. One of my fucking heroes. Married to Kristen Cavallari, for one.
Oh, yeah.
Married to one of the hottest women on the planet.
Aren't they divorced now? Did they get divorced?
Probably, but he's just... What was that quote?
Yeah, they did.
I wish we could... What was that quote about that you sent me that one time? And we were like, dude, Jay Cutler's going to be on the show. That guy's a fucking legend.
We've got to find that. There was a meme. I know exactly which one you're talking about, but there's so much dumb shit that gets shared between us, it's probably lost. Right. But no, I know which one you're talking about. It was a quote about divorce. It was some kind of quote about divorce, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Jay Cutler. Yeah, I would. Jay Cutler's that guy where you know that when they're like, "Hey, we're going to Sand Dunes this weekend. You want to go?" You're just like, you know what? I need to paint my house, but fuck that, because whatever's going to happen to the dunes is going to be so much better than that shit. And you just go without question, and it ends up being a mind-blowing weekend because there's just awesomeness around him at all times.
Here's a Jay Cutler quote on finding happiness. Quote, being retired and divorced has been great. It's like a license not to give any fucks, which is kind of my thing. Ever play Settlers of Catan? Yeah, me neither. And now I have to. I live in Montana now. There isn't fucks to give for miles. That's paradise to Old Smokin' Jay. Unquote.
I love Jay Cutler.
References himself as Old Smokin' Jay.
You know who's after game turnaround really shocked me because he just looks completely different to me?
Who's that?
Jake Plummer.
I haven't seen a picture of him. I didn't even know he was still alive.
Because he runs a psilocybin grow operation in Denver now.
Wow.
Yeah, he grows mushrooms.
Jake the Snake, bro. Yes. Wow, I see his picture now. Holy shit, he's got the long blonde hair and shit. That's awesome. Looks like he does tons of shrooms.
He looks like he lives on that cloud, man. I legitimately feel like that's what that is.
Listen to this one. Here's another Jake Plummer story. After filing for divorce, Kristen Cavallari wanted Jay Cutler to give her $5 million so she could buy a new mansion. In response, the former Bears quarterback froze all of his bank accounts so she couldn't access the money and told her to, quote, get a job. Wow. I can't believe Plummer, though, runs a psilocybin.
Yeah.
That's legal to do in Denver? That's
legal in Denver.
You can possess them and grow them?
You can buy them. There are shops you can walk into in Denver and buy mushrooms.
Okay, I knew there was shops that you could go into and like you could grow your own mushrooms, but I didn't know that there was like they're already you can just go get them like weed.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. Why is it not like that everywhere?
Because white people were in power for too long.
Oh God. Well, I mean, and psychedelics are the devil. They don't ever actually fit into anybody's like anti-drug. They don't fit the narrative for any of that. If you ever notice, like you never see commercials that are like, there's always like the weed ones and like don't drink and drive and all that stuff. And like obviously type people, there's been cocaine and meth ones and all that shit. Never one about psychedelics. Anybody ever notice that?
Well, you know what? Okay, but here's the thing with the fact that that's because with cannabis being on the move, we saw a couple more states legalize recreational cannabis. Missouri being one of them. So now you're not going to have to drive to Colorado anymore. You're about 3 months. Law takes effect December 6th. They have 60 days to get licenses issued and shops are ready to go. So you'll be able to. February, March timeframe, you'll be able to go into a dispensary down there and get weed. Oh,
good God. It's gonna be a hazy spring, bud. Hazy spring. Let's just say that. I might just show up on screen one time and just be like, what's going on? Yeah.
Bro,
it's just
$65 half ounce. And it's actually decent bud.
Yeah. $50 ounces in Denver. Just $50 shake out. Well, it's shake, but it's still awesome.
Honestly, dude, shake.
I like shake.
It is great to get shake like that. I will buy it like that simply because you can use that for edibles. Because then you don't have to deal with grinding anything up. You can just decarb it and infuse it to whatever you're going to infuse it into.
And if you're into rolling joints, it's perfect. If you're into rolling joints, I'm not really into that, but I feel like it's too powerful.
Yeah, the dispensaries I go to, they have $30 shake halves, and they're in these little bags. They call them Old Pals. It's like a little bugler pack where you get papers and everything right there, so you can just roll the joint right out of it.
Beautiful.
And it's just a half ounce of, pretty good quality shake. And so it was $30. So
I always tell people like with the, like you said that there's like a kid inside of it basically, right?
Yeah.
And he said, okay. I always tell people, I'm like, dude, think about like people think it's weird when like people are eating weed or like, like there's edibles and there's all these different kinds. There's waxes and things like that, right? And people are like, oh, why is whatever happened just the old marijuana? It's like, dude, think about how many different ways there are to drink. Like you have drinking games and different ways to do like, you can shotgun beers, you can fucking beer bong beers. Like that's how many different kinds there's gonna be for smoking weed too. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how many different ways you could do it. It's just
it's the delay in the product has delayed the innovation. And one of the things that I think is interesting is the environmental impact of using hemp as a building product.
Oh God.
Because of how renewable it is, we could fix the housing market.
The hemp seed. Yeah, the hemp seed also is like one of the highest oil content seeds in the world. Mm-hmm. It has a high oil content. It's like super high quality oil, and there's like the seeds are just full of it. I mean, obviously, if you ever bought a shitty bag of weed and had seeds and stems in it, those seeds are like very like they have an oil on them. Even on the outside.
They're very glassy. Yeah.
So it's the applications, and they figured out that it actually does kill cancer cells in some types of cancer. Which, how ironic would that be if weed turns out to be the cure for cancer?
I think it's what's really interesting is now, your boss is like, why are you smoking weed on the job? I'm not. I am preventing cancer.
I don't want to get cancer later in life. And you don't even have to use the glaucoma.
I am actively preventing cancer.
Yeah, the number one actual medically proven like supplement or cure for a disease is fucking glaucoma, weed, right? And then number 2, I believe in this High Times magazine I was reading, is mental health. Number 2, and I was like,
yeah,
that makes sense. Anxiety. It was anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
You know, feeding off
no,
anxiety.
and true. It's the truest thing, because like I mentioned, like I didn't try weed for the first time until I was 23, and you know what it was is because with how I grew up, like I tell people, like, but in truth being told, I really had a fucked up childhood at multiple different points for multiple different reasons. But I was able to recognize the scourge that addiction had. You know, we lost Aaron Carter recently, and I feel bad for his family and I feel bad for him because of what addiction does to a person. And, you know, hereditary, if it's not a tackled issue and it becomes a person, the rippling effects of addiction are just ridiculous. And so I was legitimately for so long, I was scared because of all of the misinformation. Now, of course, in truth, everything has the potential to become addictive in some way, shape, or form. But first of all, the actual addiction rates for marijuana are shockingly low. And on top of that, a majority of those are mental addiction because they're repressing some other type of feeling that it's really covering up for. It's not an actual chemical addiction to the substance.
No, you're not going to have fucking tremors and shit if you quit smoking weed every day, like you were smoking it
You're
every
gonna
day
have
all day long.
You're gonna have some weird dreams for 6 weeks after, because
Right.
you know, if you're a chronic smoker and you stop smoking, yes, you're gonna have weird dreams for 6 weeks after. It's because your body's working out all of the THC that it hasn't had time to work out before.
I guess the reason that I'm so dismissive about weed being at all addictive is because I've been addicted to fucking opiates, bro. Painkillers. And like coming off of those is like the worst.
No,
ever.
and that's why I think that, and that's why I clarified that it's a mental addiction.
Yeah.
Because there is a clear difference between a chemical and a mental addiction. You know, sex, people that have high sex drive, hypersexuals that become sex addicts, that addiction is chemical to a point, but it's mostly mental.
Right.
You know, whereas, you know, because in a lot of times, yes, there's a chemical imbalance in the brain that causes it, but it's a mental addiction to that release feeling that you get.
Well, and sometimes, you know, deeper than that, can be emotionally, it can be, you know, different partners or like they're almost desensitizing, or they're desensitized to sex. So it's like a, you know, it's more of a recreational thing to them than it is to, you know, to other people who.
Right.
Like, it means,
yeah, there's a lot more mental to it than somebody that's addicted to, say, heroin, meth, cocaine, something like that,
right,
where there's an actual chemical bind in the body that's making you crave this item.
And your body needs it to operate. Like alcohol, for one, is real bad. I mean, alcohol
is something, yeah. That's definitely a chemical addiction.
I actually think that's what happened to my dad. For anybody who doesn't know, my dad's in the nursing home. He has memory loss, basically. Like it looks like it's like Alzheimer's, but I'm pretty sure he tried to quit drinking, and the DTs from it, he might have had a stroke or something, for real. Like that, because he drank for like 40 years straight every day.
Right.
And then he just gets sick and thinks that he can just quit. And, you know.
So I have a theory about that, and I think you might be right. Because a lot of the individuals that I've seen, in my experience, I've seen a correlation between individuals that were known to have drinking issues for an extended period in their life and individuals that end up developing dementia at later points and having a higher risk of stroke. Now, I'm not saying that those things come from those things are exclusive to those people. What I'm saying is, I would be curious to see the numbers on it, because I almost think that individuals that suffer from alcoholism tend to have a higher risk down the road for dementia and stroke.
Yeah, there's actually a word for it. It's actually been diagnosed. It's the Korsakoff, I believe. The Korsakoff syndrome. Yeah, Korsakoff syndrome is what it's called, and it's basically just Alzheimer's that was induced by heavy alcohol use.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's Korsakoff syndrome is a chronic memory disorder caused by severe deficiency of thiamine. Korsakoff syndrome is most commonly caused by alcohol misuse. Yeah, so it's basically just like it's memory loss and this almost the same, some tremors and shit like that, which is basically the same as Alzheimer's. It's similar.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
that's interesting. I didn't know that.
I had to look at because we were trying to figure out, what happened to my dad. Like, this happened so quick and weird, and we are like, all right, well, what's, because he forgot stuff, because he was a drinker or whatever, but like it wasn't ever, and it happened real quick. Like it just became a thing where he just had no short-term memory at all. And it was like, that's weird that it would have came on that quickly. You think you would have seen gradual signs, it would have got worse and worse, right? No, he just went from 0 to 100 real quick. So like,
No, and honestly, I could see the argument going both ways on that because there was, I know that there's cases like with my grandfather, his descent into not knowing who he was or where he was took years.
Yeah,
it did take years. Whereas I know, like with your dad, I know that it was quick. I've seen other cases, friends' parents, where it was within 6 weeks. It was like, oh, hey, something's not right. 6 weeks later, they have to be in a home because it's not safe for them to be by themselves anymore.
I'm saying even with my dad, it was probably day to day. Like it was probably like a day. Like I literally had spoken with him, several times before that, and then it just basically in one time it went from. So that almost signifies that there's some kind of like actual event that happened, like a stroke or,
and
you know what I'm saying?
No,
like
and that's what I was going to say. That to me, because there was a lot of my grandfather's changes, because my grandfather somehow had multiple strokes or many strokes throughout my young adult life, and so and that's almost what you could mark the changes by,
right?
And so.
Kind of whole noticeable steps into something worse, basically.
Right. Yeah. And so that's why I mean, maybe there was a more massive stroke that just it hit that right spot,
Right.
That's I mean,
it was doctor, probably a really bad one.
I've stayed at a Holiday Inn Express before, so
right. Probably a bad enough one. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like the heat, and like I always tell people, I'm like, hey, he gets to meet new people every day. And but for real though, he's actually probably in a better place. This is weird. A lot of older divorced men, for some odd reason, like once they get divorced, dude, they just lost. They're just lost. You know what I'm saying? Like they just thought that was going to be their entire life, was going to be just like that. And then like the woman just basically wants more out of her life because they're just doing, it just becomes monotonous. Is what I've seen anyway. And then the dudes just they have no backup plan. Like no backup plan. It's crazy.
There's so many people that feel the compulsion to make the relationship their identity and their partner their identity. And I'm not going to knock anybody that's committed to a relationship. I'm very happy with Martha. But if something were to happen in the relationship between Martha and I were to end, I would be devastated. But I'm not going to be lost because, I have friends outside of her. I have individual friends. I have hobbies that I do by myself. And so while I will be trying to figure things out and I will be struggling and it will be a lot of intensive therapy and it will have a negative effect on me overall, I'm not going to lose my mind. And I feel bad for somebody that gets so deep into that. And I can't judge somebody for it because it's just that's how much you were head first into that. But at the same time, and I don't know, maybe it's just because of the trauma or whatever, but I always live my life like everything could go wrong at any point, and I could just, all hell could break loose.
Right. That I was gonna say a couple of things. You're right on line with it, but the thing is, like, how much of it has to do with age, right? My dad was 60. Like, I mean,
okay, yeah, that's
like he was like 60. I think he was like 60, something like that. Maybe like late 50s. And I think it obviously has a lot to do with like kind of like you said, like who the person is, right? Like, so different kinds of
Right.
people are gonna handle it differently. But like that's just kind of been my experience with it. Is like my dad included. And I've seen other older men do the same thing. They just seem like they're super like, you know what I'm saying? Like they just thought that was going to be their life. They had gotten to a certain age and it just became comfortable. Most of them are usually married for over 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So like that's just that's what their middle life is like. And like my dad didn't have any like many friends. Like he does had a couple of friends, but like they're just it matters a lot on what kind of person you are because and like you said, like you always like have like an outlook of like, yes, there's obviously things that could go wrong and like and just basing your entire your personality on the relationship is the weirdest thing ever. Like that's not a good idea, especially when
it's not healthy.
No. And my dad and my mom were not particularly happy for most of it. You know what I'm saying? So like so it's not even like they were like head over heels for each other or anything. It was like that was just like how comfortable he got with like the situation.
Right. And that's the thing is so yeah, and I can understand that to a point because you get to that point where there are so many things where you just expect, and that's like one of those things where when you do lose somebody that's close to you, you know, that's where a big piece of that comes from is because they're just you're so used to them being ingrained in part of your life. And then all of a sudden, bam.
Right.
You know? And you know, what can be even weirder is when it's not something where they just pass away unexpectedly. It's something where you watch them deteriorate in such a rapid manner. With my grandmother, it was like that. You know, so you have this understanding of what's happening, but at the same time, you're like, why now?
Right.
What switch was flipped that it was just all of a sudden we were great to oh fuck.
Right. And my dad's brother was murdered. I've told you this before. He was murdered, and they were like best friends. So this happens when my dad's like in his early 20s, right? So, and they were like him and his brother were best friends. They did everything together. Like they hung out since they were very young. His older brother for what, you know what I'm saying? Like his older brother, right? The older brother.
That's your hero.
Gets murdered. Like that's a weird thing in the, you know, like,
that's
so
insane.
So just gone one day. He was like 20. He was 29, I believe, or 20, late 20s. So and then guess what his name was, Tony? Dan Werner. Yeah. So then I become the other Dan. So like, how much is my dad stuck in that? Like, hey, like I want this guy to be, you know, on the same level as my brother was. He's named after him. Like that's a weird. Think about how weird. So basically, what I'm trying to say, guys, is my childhood was a little strange. It was a little strange. It wasn't a bad childhood at all. Like I had good parents. They didn't like each other, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it was fine. But like, that's just a weird dynamic to think about. And that's a lot with your trauma thing too, is like, do you think he was stuck back then in 78? Like it gets weird. I don't know.
I mean, you know, when we look at like let me say it like this. So when I was a kid, one of the ways that I got made fun of was because my name is Tony. I get Tony Baloney and Tony the Tiger. Like people would just like use the Tony thing and ride that incessantly.
I still do that, by the way.
Right. Tony. But I know I know the result of your AIDS test, so you don't do it as much as you used to.
That's why I have the sunglasses and the hat on. It's getting pretty rough. But the old HIV.
No, anyway, but there was this.
I feel like Tom Hanks in Philadelphia.
Oh, God damn it!
Just listening to opera music.
I'm just waiting for you to bust out into the chorus of a song from Rent.
Every hour of the day is a good day. It's a good hour, Tony. It's an hour we have left. No, go ahead. Sorry.
God damn it. Okay. So when oh god damn it.
We should run a
banner.
You made me
lose my train of thought.
We should run a banner at the bottom for my GoFundMe. GoFundMe AIDS. It's just called the AIDS GoFundMe. Dallas, Nebraska Buyers Club.
Oh God. Okay. I just got lost in my train of thought. You know what? We have spent a half hour talking about intro shit that should have taken 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and talk about the actual shit today.
Yes.
So LeBron tweeted out a statement today, and basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, saying he understands somebody needing to be held accountable for what they said, but that the list of demands, the released list of demands that the Nets have for Kyrie to be able to return from suspension is excessive in his opinion. So I guess we'll start with this. Dan, do you think the list of demands is excessive?
The demands, what do you mean the demands for them to for him to apologize and stuff?
So the list that was released that is claimed to be the things that the Nets want Kyrie to do before he can return to the court.
I'm looking at it right now. Must apologize for posting the link
and condemn the movie.
$500,000 in donation to anti-hate causes. Receive sensitivity training, which I always thought that was sensitivity training. Really? Do they sit down in a room and tell you what you're supposed to be sensitive to? Like, this is not okay. Like, they just show you videos of people beating baby seals with clubs or what? Irving must meet Anti-Defamation League and Jewish leaders. They're going to make him meet him. That's not a great idea.
And he has to meet with Joe Tsai
to demonstrate understanding of the issues. Where you go, that you shouldn't hate Jews. And he's like, yeah. He's like, do you still hate Jews? I don't know. Okay, good. Is at the end of that conversation? I don't understand. Yeah, that's a bit intense. I hadn't seen that until just now. You're seeing my live reaction.
Right. So and I understand the importance of not allowing somebody to think it's okay to disparage an entire group of people in that fashion for their religion, or for any of the other protected characteristics.
I'm counting those things as obvious, yes.
Right. But, what is the and I think it's been a theme for the recent, I would say the last 10 to 15 years, recent time period, that theme has been, what is the proper punishment for saying something, posting something, sharing something that was not something that should have been distributed, I guess we'll say.
It's such untapped ground, isn't it though? I mean, we've never had to deal with this. Like, this is a new problem. So I feel like we're in the middle of learning, what the proper steps should be to take and what's too much, what's not enough. I mean, we're literally just, this is all on the fly for all of us, right?
In every situation, and this is what I think is interesting is there's no consistency. This isn't just an NBA thing. This isn't just a professional sports thing. This is just in events in general, with things that have gone viral. Yes, different situations across different professional sports. There has been so much inconsistency with how the situation has been handled. And so you have to ask the question, when a professional athlete or a professional performer of any kind shares something that is considered hate speech, we'll just say that as a broad form for this question. What are the proper steps to the situation being resolved? Because
it's not like you can go back and be like, James Dean tweeted in 1953 that he hated Jews and nobody said anything. Like, we can't, there's no precedent for any of this. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So here's my thing, because,
James Dean didn't hate Jews, guys. I'm just making an example.
Because here is what I see. When I think about how Americans handle these situations with Twitter, and social media mess ups versus how it's handled in international communities. Because within the United States, when you do anything wrong as a celebrity, it's just hellfire and hate and tweets and comments and stories and videos and bullshit. It's a firestorm of fucking bullshit. When you do something wrong in the United States, you get caught stealing food for your family because you're struggling financially. You get punished, and you get punished. You don't get help, you get punished.
Right.
There's very, very rarely is there a concept of compassion and understanding and an eagerness to grow. It's just punishment, destroy, pain. Rah, rah, rah.
There's an ongoing Daniel Werner versus the County of Richardson for those exact things. No, go ahead. I'm just kidding.
However, when you look at international communities, international prisons are built focused on rehabilitation. You could be in jail for murder, and their goal is still, in most cases, except for like super heinous shit, the normal stuff. My brother and I were drunk, and I shot him in the face. Their goal is to get you back out into the community after serving time, serving punishment, and going through proper steps to rehabilitate. And in the international community, when you tweet something wrong, people talk a bunch of shit. You apologize. That wasn't my intention. Explain your actions. And then for most part, they're like, all right, you're still an asshole. And, but
it's over.
The tide is swung. Now, one could argue the fact that it took Kyrie a week after the firestorm started before he actually apologized, and he had been suspended before he apologized, as justification for the punishment. Clearly, the Nets organization, multiple times before he was suspended, set him up in press conferences with the understanding that he was going to say that he was not anti-Semitic and renounce the hateful themes that are within that documentary that he shared. And he didn't. So I think that's why the list is so complex.
I mean, I said last night on Hardwood, Wednesdays 9 Eastern. I said last night, I was like, it actually makes me not like Kyrie more. Like, it's not like I don't dislike him. I don't think. I don't know. I don't know him as a person, so it's whatever. He's a great basketball player. But I don't. It actually made me lose respect for him. I'll put it that way, a little bit, for him actually coming out and apologizing, because not because he apologized, because I think that should be done, right? But it's almost like he didn't stand strong to what his wrong opinion was. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, at least if you're going to sit there for a week and everybody knows that you actually meant that, then at least stand by it. Like, we don't think that you were actually apologizing. Like, the fact that you apologized is kind of just like, it kind of just pisses me off, because I'm like, we know that you're not genuine about the apology, that you're just doing it because people are making you do it. So why'd you even do it at all? Like, why'd you even do it at all? It actually makes me have more respect for you if you just go, no, I'm not going to, like, we still think you're an asshole, whatever, but we think you're an asshole anyway. Even if you come out and do a fake fucking, even do a fake apology. Like, I would rather you just not do the fake apology, like, because we know you don't mean it. Right.
And I agree. And I think my thing with Kyrie is this, and I know that we talked about this last week, and a little bit on Monday night as well, but Kyrie does not have basketball on the pedestal that basketball has Kyrie. And that's where the gap is for behavior here.
None of our jobs naturally have people. This is the last thing I'll say about it. None of our jobs naturally have people that count on us for like their happiness or emotional well-being. Like, sports fans count on teams that Kyrie Irving has played for their emotional well-being. Like, none of our jobs have that. I would assume that most jobs don't have that. Right. So like, you quit a job, it's not like you're letting down a bunch, you're not letting a bunch of people down. Like, your people that you work with. I understand that, but like, that's on such a smaller scale than this is. This is such a smaller scale. And like, there's people are like, oh yeah, well, I don't have a coworker anymore, but I still get paid. I still have a job. It's consistent. I'm going to get paid the same amount. It doesn't really affect me that much. Like, yeah, I liked working with that person, I guess. But outside of that, there's not really any like repercussions for you quitting a job. Kyrie's job, there's to people that he doesn't even fucking know, that he never worked with. You know what I'm saying? Like that. And that's why it's such a huge deal. And that people are making it such a huge deal is because of that right there. His job has repercussions and he just doesn't care that much about his job. He just doesn't. So I'm okay with him not caring about his job, but like he has to understand that is part of the deal. Like that's when you sign those millions of contracts, those millions, that's part of the millions. That's what he's getting paid for.
Right. Well, and you look at like the impact, because if with Nike not releasing the new Kyrie 8s, that's there are people that actually make those. That's
right.
That's people that are their job is changing.
It's not. They work at Nike, bro. They're going to be making shoes. The
like
Kyrie 8 not coming out.
It just changes what shoe they're making.
Right. That's about it.
But the people's businesses that buy them to sell them for collections and stuff like that, people that collect them,
right?
They were looking forward to that. Like that's just a complete.
Just like effects that you and I's job really doesn't have, like
right
down the line, as far as like just that massive of a people that it actually hits. And like that's the craziest part. And like that's got to be a lot of their pay, right? I mean, yes, obviously they're like the best in the world at what they do, and there's much fewer of them than there is, say, accountants or insurance agents or retail people. Like there's much less of them.
Businesses,
there's much less retail. Yeah, I'm a retail merchant. I believe that's the actual that's the title.
That's the title. Retail.
That's
merchant.
The title. Retail merchant. Yeah, online retail merchant, I believe, is my actual job title. Yes, and cannabis retail merchant. I'm just kidding.
Cannabis retail merchant.
No, that's but yeah, it just doesn't affect us people down the line, and I think that's part of their pay. And that's like when people are like, oh, they get paid way too much money to play a game. It's like, well, they take on a lot more responsibility than you and I do. Usually, like most people do when they take on a job, they take on a lot more responsibility. They take on a lot more, it's a lot more pressure, quite honestly. I mean, their job is full of pressure. They do their job in front of 30,000 people to 60, 80,000 people every day, which we don't do. I'll tell you that much. Nobody watching this fucking show does that
because of the TV broadcast,
Right.
And that's where it's like, and that's where for me it's it's one of those things where I'm torn, because you'll hear some people that will say, well, if it was a white basketball player, saying, no, first of all, those don't exist anymore. Secondly,
not real. Non-European white guy said this, like, yeah, he wouldn't play in the NBA. What is he? What is he in baseball? The MLB?
Is it a soccer player? Like,
yeah.
Well, but let's just say, and they say something that's anti-Semitic or racist, would they get that much of a punishment? If you wait an entire week to apologize and to condemn, yeah.
So I'm gonna clarify real quick on this. If it's hateful speech, it's kind of the same thing. Like any kind of hateful speech, it
doesn't matter who says it.
If it's anti-Semitism from an American white person, possibly of German descent, then it's a different kind of deal. Then it could
be even more aggressive.
Then it would be worse. Yes, but
that's fair.
Right? That's even more like. That's even more of an issue. Would be more of an issue, right?
Right.
Because, guys, we're not gonna go back through history and explain why I just said that, but like, that's fucking why.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Anybody who doesn't get that, probably look up a fucking textbook. Maybe there's this thing called World War II. Go read about it. No, that's why. And like, yeah, and obviously there is active anti-Semite white groups going in the United States right now. Like there's many of them. Like they have websites and everything. Like there's a whole movement. So that would be a different thing. But like hate speech in general, yeah, I think that it would probably, I think it's probably treated exactly the same way. Like if he's like, nah, no, I do hate you. It's like, we'd be like, oh, what? Like, it'd be the same kind of deal. I don't think it has to do anything with him being black.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's you know, but they tout the things that Kyrie has done as reasons for not having an elevated punishment, because Kyrie has done some great things. Kyrie was one of the reasons why the WNBA players had their income supplemented when they're with the loss of games from the 2020 season.
Yeah.
You know, that was stuff that he paid out of his pocket that he didn't have to.
Me and Stacks kind of talked about this last night about how like he was. He's trying to be an activist. Like he's trying. Like I respect him. I do respect him because he's trying to use his platform at least for something, right? Whether it's misguided nonsense or he's actually using it for good, which he has. He is actively and consciously trying to use his platform for change in general, which you have to respect somebody and pat them on the back for doing that, right?
Absolutely, especially as a professional athlete. The fact that he is at least speaking out shows me that he is at least trying. I appreciate that more than the ones that just stay quiet and don't try to do anything with the platform that they're given.
Right. And if you honestly don't want to do anything with it, like if you don't feel strongly enough about anything, like I'm sure a lot of them are just indifferent to it, you know, like, or they just, if for some of them, I don't think it's about not using their platform. I think it's just about that's not really a huge part of what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? It's just in their life, and that I'm fine with. But like, if you have something to say and you have that platform and you don't say it, that's an issue for me. You know what I'm saying? Like if you say it all in your private life and everything, and you're like, people know you as very like this, and you're not using your platform to speak out on injustices that you think are going on, I think that's probably not a good thing, because then you're being a little bit cowardly by not taking the opportunity that's been given to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's just my opinion on
it. Okay. All right. So before we move on, I think we're gonna take a commercial break here in just a minute. And then we're gonna talk about the Oakland Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders.
The West Coast in the middle of the desert somewhere there, Raiders. Somewhere between the Barstow Raiders.
The blowing lead Raiders. So as we wrap this up, you know, solutions, Dan. The first answer, okay, we have to answer the question. So just to confirm, you think that the list of
too much
things is too much, okay? What do you think the appropriate punishment for Kyrie Irving should be? Obviously, understanding he's already issued this, we'll call it an apology for what it is.
Nothing. I think that he should be able to go on doing his job. Honestly, like if that's he made a fake apology, that's what you guys wanted. Like it. I mean, sorry if he doesn't. I'm not going to start this thing where we're just nobody's gonna play sports because they believe a certain thing. If we could hear what, you know, some of these old baseball players would have believed about, you know, desegregation of baseball, and we remember some of those quotes. There is some quotes about it. If you're interested in that subject, go back and look at that shit. Like those guys play the next week, dude. They didn't get suspended for that shit. Like it's all about social climate. This is an overreaction to, and correct me if I'm wrong, we used to be called the country for freedom of speech. I think that was a certain thing that we could do. But
freedom of speech exists, but it's, you know, what's being more prevalent is you're still being held accountable for what you say. Freedom of speech means you have the freedom to say what you want to say, but it does not give you the freedom of consequences. Because if I say some kind of terroristic threat, guess what? There are consequences for what I fucking say. But if I just walk around saying, I don't like Obama, I don't like Trump, I don't like Biden, I don't like Kamala Harris, I think Cardi B looks like a human Pokemon, I can't be jailed for saying those things.
And you're most likely not, unless you're saying them at your job, your job's not going to be taken away from you for any amount of time.
No. But when you know, and yes, Kyrie's job is to play ball. And there are so many people that are just like, shut up and play, shut up and dribble, shut up and throw, whatever.
I don't think that.
I don't either. These individuals as public entertainers, because that's what they are, whether you're an actor, an athlete, a musician, you're a public entertainer. You are given a platform and should be using that platform to make a positive impact on the world. Now, yes, the thing that Kyrie shared was not a positive impact on the world. But the only way that he can demonstrate contrition is to be allowed to continue doing what he's supposed to do. And when you have things like the Anti-Defamation League making comments saying, oh, after he wouldn't apologize for a week, we won't accept his money. I'm sorry, you guys are a not-for-profit charity. What happened to you need money to function?
Yeah. I would
that's $500,000.
I would take it. Yeah. Isn't that the best people to be taking it from? Do you know what I'm saying? That's what your charity is about, or your nonprofit is about. Like, wouldn't that be the best? Somebody's like, hey, sorry, I said this. Here's some money. Isn't that like, wouldn't that be in your fucking,
is that what we have to do? Is like, do we have to turn the Anti-Defamation League into a national racist jar? Like, oops, I said the N-word. I need to go donate $5 to the ADL.
Right.
Oops, I said something that was slightly racist, or was biased, was sexist.
Hit them where it counts, their pocketbook.
I just have to, self-impose fines, or, make it appropriate to an income. I have to file it on tax returns. Like this swear jar for hate speech. Is that what we're going to do now?
Swear jar. Yeah.
I can understand to a point in being forced to learn things. I will give you, to a point, depending on the content, the sensitivity training video and the anti-Semitism training video. Okay, look, if I'm at work, I'm working in an office, and I say something that is considered slightly sexual harassment, and the punishment is like, you know what? This isn't quite bad enough to fire you, so you're going to watch a couple of you're going to go through some retraining on sexual harassment. You're going to watch a couple of videos. We're going to make sure this doesn't happen again. You're going to retrain on it. Okay. We've probably all at some point for something had to go back in for retraining. So you know what? I'll give you that. Meeting with the ADL, meeting with Joe Tsai, I think it's important to have those things done. But are we really in a position where we need to delay playing time to make them happen?
That's probably where the line is a little bit intense for me, just in general.
And that's my question, because it's honestly, for me, it's not even the list of things that he has to do to show a turnaround, if you will, in behavior. It's that everything has to be done before he can return to play. That's where I start to go, you know what? This is a little much. Kyrie's a shithead.
And aren't all those things...
This is a little much.
Aren't all those things literally just almost to remind him that he should be a little bit more careful and be more thoughtful towards what he's saying or what he believes? And do you think he hasn't already got a backhand in the face at this point about that? Right? I mean, he has. This is enough of an issue now that he's definitely gotten a, hey, that's probably not okay to be saying, or to be believing.
The behavior has been discouraged plenty.
Properly.
You're losing 20 plus million with the deal with Nike, because Nike has said the relationship with Kyrie is pretty much shattered.
Well, it simply just brings it to his attention.
Right.
Which is basically
and so you're going to see Kyrie end up with Adidas or Reebok at some point in a year or two. He'll have jumped ship, and somebody will be making a shoe for him. It'll happen. because people will buy it like it is what it is. But are we really going to, right? But are we really going to put him in a position where he's not allowed to work because of a tweet?
Of a tweet. You have to, we have to, like, something that he said and probably believes, okay? Like, and I'm not saying all the hateful stuff about it, but he believes a lot of that stuff. It's borderline probably, on.
And this is where I go back to the U.S.'s approach to people doing things incorrectly versus international situations. Because in the U.S., it's all about the punishment, hellfire, brimstone, where in truth, we can accomplish more with education. That's why I said the sensitivity training, the anti-Semitic training, yeah, I think those are great things to expect him to deal with, to be able to continue being a professional athlete and an entertainer representing an organization, because he does not just represent himself when he's playing when he is on the roster of a professional sports team. He represents that organization and he represents that sport.
Right.
That's just the way it is. So we have to, there has to be some type of contrition.
Right. And it's predicated mostly on how Kyrie handles that stuff too. Like the videos and things like that. Like, is he going to go into like, oh, I fucking know all this shit already? Or is he actually going to like consciously watch the videos, meet with those people, consciously hear what they're trying to say? That's what it comes down to as well, which is obviously with every situation.
With the type of person that Kyrie is, the more you push, the more he's going to push back. There's that saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Well, Kyrie Irving doesn't understand that statement, because Kyrie is one of those that genuinely thinks that he is the smartest person in any room that he's in. He makes
the common smart guy mistake in thinking he's the smartest guy in every room. Yeah.
Right. And he may very well be a very intelligent person. There are people that forget that.
I think he is.
He did go to college. There are people that forget.
Duke.
Richard Sherman, he went to Duke. Richard Sherman went to, what was it? It was Harvard, wasn't it? Stanford. Ivy League school.
Those are very hard schools to get into academically.
Very hard, and you don't get to play sports for those schools just because you're good. You have to have the academic chops to match.
There's a standard.
There is a clear standard for those individuals. And so the importance is you can hold him accountable, but it has to be with an approach that is about rehabilitation and education, because the world has gotten to so much of a point where everybody's afraid to mess up. The one thing you should not be afraid of in life is failure, because failure is an opportunity to learn. And when you make people afraid of failure, you start to make people afraid of the humanity within themselves.
Well said.
And that's why anxiety increases. That's why social media increases anxiety in individuals that consume it at such a strong and too high of a rate. Because it increases that fear of failure.
Absolutely. And not only failure, but failure in front of everybody. Failure in public. Failure in public. Digital public. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So before we move on, we are going to take a break, run through a couple of ads. Stick right with us. We will be right back.
I'm going to shotgun a beer.
Go for it.
Not really. I'm just going to drink one.
We'll be right back, everybody.
For all things baseball, don't miss the Winter Meetings podcast Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast. And again, Tuesday mornings on West Coast Radio at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Even when you feel low, you can still go.
Wrap up your Monday with some laughs. Make sure to join Will, Seven, Dan the Dick Warner, and Josie as they dive into the hottest topics of the week across sports, including baseball, basketball, and the NFL. You can catch the episode live Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast, or Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern on West Coast Radio. Don't miss the Sports Report Podcast. Don't miss Fight Night. Every Tuesday night, Will Morgan and Josie Haney break down the hottest topics of the week across combat sports, including UFC, boxing, WWE, AEW, and more. Past episodes are available on youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast, and each episode will air again Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern on West Coast Radio. Don't miss Fight Night. Tune in or tap out.
Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope.
Put the kids to bed, put on your shades, and crack open a cold one during Sports Report After Dark with Seven and Dan the Dick Warner. You can catch After Dark Thursday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/The Sports Report Podcast, and again Saturday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern on West Coast Radio. We believe that athletes are people too, and Skip Bayless is one of the lizard people. Don't miss Sports Report After Dark. That last commercial was for our new basketball podcast here on the Sports Report Podcasts. Hardwood with Dan the Dick Warner and Haystacks Calhoun, Mr. Wade Knoll, going into basketball news, score updates, everything like that. Wednesday nights at 10 Eastern, right here on the channels that you're watching this on now. Definitely a great show. They just had their second episode last night. I'm so glad. I expected Dan to have gotten this canceled by now, but he's held it strong, and they're creating some good, entertaining stuff. If you're into something as lame as basketball, that is. All right, I figured you were ready.
No, I'm good. Yeah, the fucking blasphemy.
The blasphemy.
The blasphemer. No, it's been fun.
It's you guys are doing a really good job. I like what you've done so far. All right, so now I want to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders, because like even in you and I talking, just like when you and I are just stoned and talking on Messenger, there's so many times in years past where it was like, all right, this is the year the Raiders are finally going to be a playoff team, because all of the pieces seem to be falling into place. I follow if you can burp. You know what? Here, I'll get you.
Yeah, hang on. I usually lean away from the microphone when I do that.
Yeah, you know what? I got nothing tonight. I only have water and whiskey. If I was having beer, I guess.
Oh yeah, all day. That's two. That's two on command.
There you go. You know what? They're weak. Yes. I don't have any soda this time. It's like I don't know what it is. I can't. I'm sorry.
It's like
okay.
It's like a troll. Like what? You just going to podcast to podcast, just getting people to burp.
I mean, you know what? Hey, it makes it interesting. It's good content.
It does.
I mean,
I like it.
I
can vomit on command. Hang on, I'm just kidding.
No, that's not what we're trying to go for.
It doesn't say I follow if you can vomit. No.
Still small. I follow if you can burp. You know what? I like the spirit, man. Keep it up. All right. So as we talk about the Raiders, I feel like like I said before, you and I have even just in all of the time that there you go. That's better. That's a solid 6. Kind of like you, a solid.
My mic's not picking up that bass in it either. It's got bass in it. It's just
that's because you have a 58. Like the bass doesn't come through quite as well on those low, especially on those low frequencies. But when we look at this team, I want to start with Derek Carr because I there have been so many. Hold on 1 minute. Oh God damn it!
We got a troll. Let's put it up. I'm just kidding.
Anyway, no bots, please, and thank you. We love attention, but not that much.
I follow if you can burp. That looks suspicious. The timing looks a bit suspicious.
Hey, don't
just
accuse
saying. I'm not accusing
one of the people that's watching, man.
I'm not accusing. I'm really not. It just looks cool, suspicious. Bro. It's fine. Nobody knows what we're talking about.
Anyway,
unless you do, if I follow. And if you do,
there have been a lot of people that have supported Derek Carr.
I've been one of them.
And you've been one of them. I've honestly, I know I've been a lot more critical, but because there are some
Homer
good.
Chiefs fan.
Well, no, but here's the thing. Derek Carr is definitely an NFL quarterback, but my point of view. You have somebody that in the one playoff game he manages to get to, he only has a 53% accuracy. 1 touchdown, 1 pick.
In what games are that?
The one time that Derek Carr made a playoff game.
Okay.
And there are
not a real big sample size.
Not a real big sample size, but there's that saying that goes with the playoffs. Your biggest weaknesses get exposed in the playoffs.
Yes, and
no. If you're just a above average quarterback, you're not one of that guy quarterbacks. The playoffs will expose it if your coach doesn't do their job.
Right. And just the attitude overall. And I just feel like Derek Carr lost a lot of his locker room then and his future locker rooms when he cried on the field that one time. I'm not joking. As cruel as that sounds, you have to understand these guys' mindset in this gladiator game. Okay. They follow warriors, people who they think have toughness, right? I'm not saying it was wrong, and I'm not being a dick to Derek Carr for crying on the field. What I am saying is it is true that he lost a lot of respect from his peers when that happened.
I can see that to a point. Like I can legitimately see that to a point simply because there are definitely some guys that when they see a guy cry, like it alters the way that they see them.
He wasn't emotionally crying. Let me just specify there. Like if you get so into the game, like I've cried on football fields before, but that was because of emotions. I was overwhelmed with emotion from the game. It wasn't because I was actually hurt and in pain. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like, and I understand with some of the bigger injuries like Alex Smith or I wouldn't ever blame anybody for like quite literally weeping because that's so terrible, right?
Right. I don't think anybody would criticize somebody going through what Alex Smith did and crying.
But Derek Carr's was literally from like a cramp or something. Like I don't think it was as minuscule as a cramp, but it was like he was playing the next series. Like he was in the game still. So like it wasn't that it was almost like it was almost the tears were almost from him being beaten down to a point, like not even physically pain, but like just beaten down to the point where it feels like maybe he lost some swagger because of it or something like that. I think that's more where I'm coming from with it. Does that understand? Make sense?
I can see what you're saying. It's just when I look at Derek Carr, I see a guy that gets a lot of positive hype, but doesn't really seem to be able to get to that next step. Kind of like Alex Smith.
Yes, I can see that. They're very similar.
And I would still take Alex Smith over Derek Carr, but that's just because I'm a Chiefs fan. Right. And I'm clarifying. I will admit it's because I'm a Chiefs fan. Because I've openly criticized Alex Smith as well. So like I'll take ownership on that.
It's a good comparison.
But honestly, like he feels like this league's version of Alex Smith. And what scares me is if that's true, are the Raiders actually going to accidentally pick the next Patrick Mahomes?
No. I don't think there is a next Patrick Mahomes for one. I think that he's a once. I don't think there's. I'm not saying there's never going to be anybody better than him, but I am saying there's never going to be anybody like him again.
Like him, absolutely not.
No.
And I think that's his uniqueness is just something else. But
Alex Smith and Carr though that's a good comparison. I think if we did a poll, if we were able to like poll 1,000 people, which we don't have the capability to do, but theoretically, I think you'd get about 50-50. I think you get about 50-50. Like, which quarterback would you rather have? Alex Smith?
Honestly, I would expect Derek Carr to win that 55.
He would. I was going to say I think he would ultimately.
I think
it's pretty close. I think it's pretty close though. That's even a toss up for me. I'm like, I've watched a lot of both those guys play.
Like, let's hold on. I'm gonna do this. Alex Smith career stats.
He had good numbers.
62% completion percentage.
Really good.
Derek Carr's career completion percentage is 60, pretty close.
I think Derek Carr's Derek Carr for a while was like in the top 3 of all time for minimum pass.
What's crazy is right now Derek Carr's accuracy is actually 62.3% through this season. Alex Smith had just shy of 200 touchdowns at 199. Now, I know that Derek Carr has thrown more touchdowns already. I think he's at like 206 or something like that last I saw.
Well, I mean, Smith had the early years in San Francisco that didn't go great, right? I mean, he struggled. It took him coming into an Andy Reid system and that wasn't even Reid at the time, though, was it? That would have been. I mean, he started with somebody else, right? There was something.
I think it was Romeo Crennel, wasn't it?
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So even his first couple of years in Kansas City weren't great. I think Andy Reid changed Alex Smith kind of as a player, and that just shows you how much coaching does matter.
Absolutely,
especially with the guys who have the tools and aren't the guy who's just going to go out there and just take over a game because they're not that incredibly talented, but they are. Like Alex Smith is a number 1 overall pick. He's a number 1 overall pick.
So Derek Carr did have a couple of seasons where he was up there like 67, 70%, 68. He had one season where he was 68, 70, 67, 68. I'm sorry, that's 4 seasons back to back he did that. Now this season he's currently at 62, but his average throughout his career is 64. He's at 204 touchdowns. His average per completion is like 7.1 picks, 90 picks. I'm sure Alex Smith had more than 90 picks over his career.
And that's a 2-to-1 TD to interception ratio, which is good. That's good. I mean, it's not great, but it's good.
Alex Smith had 111
picks
in his career.
Compared to how many touchdowns?
199.
So yeah, they're so
close.
similar. Yeah, they're so similar. But Derek Carr still has years left.
Yeah, and so Derek Carr. I mean, and I think let's say it like this, so I think it's less controversial. Derek Carr is the next version of Alex Smith.
Yes, the one who just happens to he'll just play longer.
Yeah,
he's basically the same quarterback because we're seeing about the same point in their career, same time. The numbers are very similar. They're very similar. They play a lot alike as far as they're accurate quarterbacks. They don't have the strongest arm. They have a sufficient arm. They tend to, when things are going good, be better, but when things go bad, they tend to crumble faster. Does that make sense?
Momentum impacts their effectiveness.
Absolutely, which is not really a good trait. That's really the trait that's why they weren't good quarterbacks in the NFL, because you can't be like that. Right. Like even when you get momentum behind you and you're great, you can't let yourself fall back the other direction just as hard. You can't have these swings. Like swings are not a good, like Aroldis Chapman. I always talk about Aroldis Chapman, the closer for the Yankees, about like, you don't want your closer to like, I don't want to be like nervous when my closer comes in. I want to be like, oh yeah, now we get to Mariano Rivera, right? That's how you feel. Now we get to Mariano Rivera and we're good. We're good now.
Right.
But you don't want to be like that guy who's like, oh, my quarterback, like shit. He threw a pick. This is not going to go good now. Like, or you want to be like, oh, just give him the ball back.
So,
give him another shot.
Derek Carr. So would you agree that Derek Carr is part of the issue in Las Vegas, or do you think there are other things that are impacting it?
I think that he is a product of that environment. I think he's a product of that environment totally, with the swings, like just what we were talking about. Like,
right.
So
what do you think is the biggest problem in Las Vegas right now in that organization?
Well, number one, they're in Las Vegas, and you have young men who have millions of dollars. Let's just you can fill in the blanks.
Call that what it is
on those problems off the bat.
Right.
They historically have had players, unfortunately, and probably just out of a stroke of bad luck, that aren't the most serious about playing football, that are way more serious about what football brings them than what football is to them.
Right.
So, right. That's historic. Bo Jackson, they get a good one and he gets his freaking hip displaced. So like, it's just, I think it's a lot of like, just kind of bad luck things. Like, I feel like it's more bad luck for the Raiders than it is anything. Honestly, it's just situationally, and they shift around. They go to Oakland. That's not a good situation for any professional sports franchise for some reason. You can say whether it's economically or,
the A's will be moving out of Oakland. Yeah. I think this next season will be their last year.
There's no longer a fucking room for a professional sports franchise who plays half on a fucking football field. Let's be honest. Like, they shared a stadium. If you can't economically support different stadiums at this point, like with how much money is in sports, sorry, like you just don't need to have, like, I'm not asking for Lincoln, Nebraska to have professional sports franchises. There's no way that they're fucking economic. They don't have enough
because
people
there's not the resources aren't there to support what's needed.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not calling Oakland a bad town. I'm just saying, like, they just don't have the means.
And that's the thing. And that's why you see, and that's the difficulty about like a market like St. Louis, because St. Louis is great for hockey and baseball, but they had a lot of issues with keeping consistent numbers with the Rams. The Rams leave, go to LA, XFL pops up, Battlehawks are doing games in St. Louis, and they sell out every game. Yeah, but it was also a smaller stadium for the Battlehawks games.
Right. And think about how much it always happens when a stadium is in play, because that's a huge investment from the fan base is asked to pay for some of that, right? And then the owner is asked to foot a lot of it. And the owner kind of goes, do I want to be here because we're going to have, like, are the fans here enough for me to be like, yes, we definitely need to stay here because they're that committed to the team. And if they even start to doubt that, then they're going to move. They're going to move off of it, because if you don't just have like the most amount of money, like Los Angeles,
there is, I mean, it's a business thing though, because, if you're at a point where you need a new stadium and where you're at, it's like, yeah, we're not going to give you a new stadium, but there's a new location where you're going to be able to make money and run your business, and they're going to give you a stadium. If push comes to shove, You're going to move to the new bit. You're going to move to the new spot. This isn't the type of business where you can go, oh, I want to have one here and one here. It doesn't work like that in professional sports. You have one.
Yes.
So, if it's not working where you're at, you got to move it to somewhere it will.
Right. And it's even happened in like the opposite way, where like the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. You know what I'm saying? Like they still play with those rocks in the outfield in Anaheim, where they used to be the Anaheim Angels. But it's almost like they're just affiliated with Los Angeles now. So like Los Angeles foots the bill for salaries and things like that, or their management group or their ownership group is in Los Angeles. That's correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're like most of the guys who write the checks are in Los Angeles. So it's like they still play in Anaheim, but it's part of, they put the of Anaheim on there because they play there, but they did move technically. I mean, that team moved. It used to just be the Anaheim Angels, so it's kind of the same thing, except for in reverse. They just kind of went off of it because people of Anaheim didn't want to foot the other bills, but they still had the venue. So it's just all about fucking money. It's like always.
Yeah.
All about fucking money. St. Louis, that stadium though, Edward Jones, was getting shitty too. That dome was falling apart, and I don't know if it was maintenance issues or whatever, but like I did hear really bad stories about that. I used to have a friend that had she had season tickets to the Rams when they were in St. Louis, and she just said that the stadium was fucking terrible. Like it was like inside of that dome was really bad, and I don't know if it's like harder to maintain a dome that doesn't have a retractable roof on it. I don't know why, but apparently that place was like falling apart. Remember the fucking roof fell off. Part of the roof fell off of it, like during a game.
Oh, that's right.
Remember that? Yeah, dude. Like some of the roof fell off during the game.
Well, and I'm not, I used to be one of those where it's just like, oh, just keep updating the stadium you have. But I understand at some point, especially with an architectural undertaking that massive, you kind of have to throw it away and start over. Like
I think that's what it was.
It is what it is. And the city of St. Louis, obviously they're dealing with their financial issues. They've had problems for a long time, and you can only extort so much money out of black people before it becomes too much.
Right.
And so they're gonna have to rely on their other sources, and they didn't want to have to turn around and foot the bill for another stadium. Well, they were paying for all of their city officials to go on extra vacations. So the end result is the economic impact that team has is in an area that really struggles to have a steady fan base for two teams, but can support two teams, is still better than your city that was completely dedicated to your franchise.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Just I think it's a lot about numbers, right? I mean, from what I kind of read about and everything, St. Louis basically was doing a real weird geographical thing too, where like a lot of the rich white people were like moving out of anywhere inside of St. Louis, and they were basically like creating some kind of weird like economic, like they were like moving more outwards and like spreading the city out basically by just creating their own little, their own little fucking villages and stuff around it. And the actual center of the city where it used to be became basically vacant, or it was either inner city or it was like big houses that were just basically put. Just a heads up, you need to sort your audio. It's because I yell over the microphone, guys. It's not really, it's just yelling. No, but
we'll take a look at it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you? I don't know. We really can't hear ourselves on this, so that's a bad thing. We should probably start testing that.
We need to figure that part out for sure.
Like where we can just hear it. I'll just open it on YouTube right now. We could just talk, and then we'll hear like a 5-second delay of how. There you go. Figured it out, Tony. Just solving problems, bro. Solving problems. No, yeah, but St. Louis. Anyway, I don't even know what we're on the beginning of that, but yeah.
It's I don't know. I think that St. Louis is an interesting city for sports, but I think that the St. Louis for a professional football team is like Arizona for professional hockey. It's just not there. the support just isn't there.
Can you keep ice frozen in Arizona?
Yes, it takes a lot of air conditioning. Like one of the most destitute jobs is HVAC. Like you can, if you have HVAC experience, you come to Arizona, you can make $100,000 a year like that, because there's, AC is so much a part of what we have down here that they need a lot of people to fix it, and it's all broken.
Just for Sheffy commented.
No, I see it. I see it.
But no, I know, but I'm saying like he is in a warehouse. He actually does the show from a warehouse that looks like a part of his apartment. I didn't know if we didn't explain that before.
It's just a set. No,
it's a set of an apartment in a warehouse. I didn't know you guys didn't know that. It's got a good echo effect.
Stop. Let's get back on topic.
Yeah. What was the topic?
I don't know.
Well, yeah. See, we didn't even know. So
no. But no. Okay. So before we wrap up, do you think that there are like okay, McDaniels? Is McDaniels Russian mail order brides was the topic? No, nice try. I'm not going to fall for that again. We did that 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, that was main subject off the top. We didn't even need anybody to come to us about it. We were like, we're doing Russian mail order brides tonight.
We're trying to get our podcast sponsored, and we're hoping that one of them can, because that's a great industry to get into. And so if we can get a cut of that kind of business.
And we've been trying to get into Russia since the beginning of this thing. I mean, our Russian market is through the fucking roof. It's through the roof,
okay.
Man. I don't want follows. I don't.
Oh, stop. Okay.
I don't need them.
Damn it, Don. Your name is now Don.
You look like damn it, Don. Oh, Don over there. Hey, you look like what's that guy from Fast and the Furious? Dom Toretto. You look like if Dom Toretto was Jewish. With your arms, with your guns hanging out, and then you got the tat, but it's still got the curly hair and everything. It's fantastic.
So I learned you can actually. I was one of those weird videos on Facebook. Well, I'm going to close with this. I saw a weird video on Facebook recently where I learned you can, if you're a Jewish person, because like I'm not, by the way. He's just an asshole. But I learned as a Jewish person, you can actually get buried in a Jewish cemetery if you had tattoos, as long as they remove them after you die before you're buried. Cut that skin off. Yeah, if they cut that skin off, you can be buried in a Jewish cemetery.
I just I used to have a baseball home run call that was that one can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery because it got tattooed.
What? No, that's not okay.
I didn't actually. I was
Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
That shit is pretty funny. This is pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
Dan, you look like if Stevie Wonder had a white kid that joined the Marines before he discovered he was blind.
I'm laughing mostly at the part where I'm in the Marines, but I'm blind. Like that's actually
like how did things go so long that you were in the Marines before you realized? I mean, right. Look, I get that the ASVAB to get into the Marines is a test that is taken in Crown and using the speak and spell. However,
my drill instructor was the first one.
Happy birthday, Marines. Marine Corps birthday is today. That's great.
Is it really?
Yeah.
How long was that? Like
256 years ago. Crazy, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
How long has our democracy survived? We are a fucking. It's all touch and feel.
The Marines.
You just don't need. I mean, that actually makes you better at doing the job.
I wonder, because like Marines, like that's the closest that we would have in the modern day to Spartans. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah.
So
they're the Unsullied.
Do wives of Marine soldiers coming home from combat zones have to shave their heads too?
I don't think that's a thing anymore. No.
Is that part not a thing anymore?
No, I don't think that's a thing.
Oh, okay.
I think mostly what our whole military is now is like a bunch of smart people that like just run a lot of electronics. Like, let's be honest,
they're just smart people that are in shape, which that's probably for the best. That's probably
right.
For the best.
And like we went completely electronic on the whole thing. Like, didn't we? Like, they fly drones and things like that.
All those those kids whose parents let them play video games. Now they're flying drones, and the ones that are actually hitting the accurate drone strikes, and the ones whose rich parents didn't let them play any video games, they're the ones that take out civilians. We need to be thanking gamers, damn it.
Oh my god.
This has gone completely off the fucking rails.
I really want to I'm gonna put this up right here.
Now why does just fuck everything hoping your husband dies in combat? Let's be honest, if they're all blind, there's a 90% chance.
Sheffy, you are now a friend of the show.
Absolutely. Holy shit, that's great.
You can be our friend.
And
I do want that follow. I do want that follow.
Absolutely. You know what? I would, if it wasn't against the rules, I would show a little nipple. It's like right there. It is a little nipple, but I would show it. I would.
Side boob. Side boob.
My
side boob. Now we have to talk about.
Like
yes,
that's my side boob.
He's like, you shouldn't, because that's my side boob, and it's like, you shouldn't like it.
Oh shit!
Now we have to talk about Russian mail order brides. That's
Russian mail order brides.
Was the deal.
That is the deal. And here's the thing: I am in favor, as long as everyone is consenting. If there's some chick in Russia that's just like, hey, put me in the envelope, send me over. I'll go to whatever abusive white guy is ordering me, just for the hope that maybe he's one of the 100,000 that's not just going to murder me in 3 weeks.
Right.
And no one will know I died, so I can't be avenged. And he just does it again.
Why do you care? Is that like what you think about dying, Tony? You think that you get avenged somehow? Somebody avenges you?
Look, I watch a lot of Criminal Minds.
I was going to say, it sounds like you want to watch Marvel movies. How many Marvel movies do you watch a day?
My wife watches a lot of investigative murder porn. So I always just think of the worst, the worst occurrences with these things.
They're like,
nothing positive's going on.
They're like,
here, man.
you
should know that by now.
It's like a hot female detective. She's like, your sperm was at the scene. Do you want your sperm to be at this scene? Down, bow now, bow bow. So that's what all of it is.
What's
I don't even know about what this is. Why is this happening?
What the fuck? Oh god, that was great.
On this scene, CSI sperm. When I became a detective, I thought that just everybody committed a crime and then ejaculated everywhere. I thought there was sperm on everything. After they steal something, just ejaculate there, so everybody knows.
Just ejaculate.
That's not how it happens, apparently. That's not.
Maybe that's why the real cops have such a hard time, and it doesn't take 30 minutes to solve a crime.
Law and Order would make you think that it does, but it's not a thing. Doesn't.
Maybe that's the secret. As long as you don't ejaculate at a crime scene, you have a much higher chance of getting away with it.
Yes.
Actually, no, I would not drive a Ferrari. The highest up I would go with luxury cars is a BMW.
No, let's be honest, Sheffy. 7 would be that fucking cop in his Crown Vic still, like in the brown Crown Vic, like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the camo colored brown Crown Vic.
I'm getting the Blues Brothers Crown Vic.
It's got cop shocks, cop wheels, cop. We got
that V10 engine.
We got a full tank of gas, a half pack of cigarettes. It's dark out and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it. That should be our fucking quote for this show.
That should be our closing. When we get to the point where we make it, that's gonna be it. We're gonna pay for the rights to that clip, and that's gonna be our closing moniker. We're gonna spend all of our budget on that every single 4-second Blues Brothers clip, because fucking Aykroyd's getting paid for that shit. He ain't fucking not getting paid for it. And that was fucking art. Pay him.
Yes, we
That
should
was
pay
our
him.
pay him.
What the fuck is with this?
He's getting out of a Jag with a Sherlock hat on and a pipe, cracked pipe.
Yes, that he
Not
just
the
found
first person to assume that about me.
That's weird. That's super weird. Why are you getting those assumptions and I'm not?
I don't know, but here's the other thing. I also
Playing it good,
Tony.
Playing it good.
I'm also one of the few people that had that random experience where somebody randomly walks up and asks you if you want to buy drugs. Like that has actually, it happened to me twice in a week. And both times it was cocaine. Like, do I really look like, yes, I get that I look like Seth Rogen and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had sex they don't want to brag about. However, what I'm saying is, do I look like somebody that would just like randomly, oh yeah, I want to buy cocaine from somebody I've never come into before?
He said, I want to see your Braille keyboard. So let me find it real fast.
No. All right, my friend. Let's go ahead and wrap it for tonight. Sheffy, thank you for joining us in the chat tonight. To a shout out to our friends on West Coast Radio for catching us Saturday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern. We appreciate you. You will catch Dan Monday night on the Sports Report right here, 10 p.m. Eastern. I will be back for the season finale of the Winter Meetings Baseball Podcast Sunday night at 9 Eastern right here. We will see you all next week. Oh, Sheffy from Scotland. That is amazing.
That's why
a great night.
He or she said spunked.
Yep.
Get it?
That makes sense. It makes
Cultural
sense.
Difference. Doesn't it? Hey, does nothing for me down there when chicks on English porns say spunk.
Oh, yeah.
Does nothing for me, Sheffy. Doesn't do anything for me. I'm not a fan, actually. It makes more of a joking issue out of the whole thing, you know?
Oh,
I just
God. All right.
like it's a joke
All right.
word and it's not.
Have a good night, everybody.
Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never.